We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for.
Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We are active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the DATEABLE podcast. Hi, friends. Welcome to Brunch Talk. What a great time to get brunch. It is rainy and cold in LA, and all I want to do is just cuddle and eat brunch with you all.
Yeah. How good does that sound right now? So soothing. I cannot wait to have my potatoes, eggs, just that comfort food.
Do you eat brunch in bed? Or have you ever eaten a meal in bed?
I have never. Have you?
No. But why is that always in the movies?
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like that is the scene in the movies that someone does some romantic gesture to bring them breakfast in bed. But I have never done that. I think my dad might have done that for my mom back in the day. I kind of vaguely remember.
That's very sweet. I would just say, get this out of my bed. I don't want food in my bed. I don't want crumbs.
I feel like my kitchen to my bed, I'm looking at it now from where I am. It's 5 steps. It's not even that far.
Just stay in the kitchen. I find it kind of gross to eat in bed, but I think a lot of people do, snack in bed.
It also feels uncomfortable, right? To be laying down and eating, it feels very uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
I like to be sitting up.
Yeah, it's strange. In my mind, theoretically, it's a very romantic gesture. But in reality, please, anybody who's friends with my partner, tell him not to do that.
Don't.
I love surprises, but don't surprise me with that.
I have to admit that a bad habit that my partner and I have is that we eat at the couch a lot in front of the TV. Do you do this or do you always eat at the table?
We do it once a week. I limit it to once a week.
Okay, that's smart. I feel like if my partner could do it, he'd do it every day because he didn't even have a table at his old place.
Oh my God. It's very comfortable. Dinner and a movie.
It is, but it's a bad habit. And I have a really nice dining table that we need to sit at more.
I know. Sometimes you're just we don't need to talk. Let's just watch TV and eat. I get that. But yeah, food is a great way to bond, but food and TV or food and movie, not the best.
I like this. I might adapt this once a week.
Once a week, like Sundays,
Once a week rule. It's a special treat. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. We have to earn it. We have to earn it. Certain things drive me crazy when we're eating anywhere. If we're out with friends and we're doing brunch or whatever, it drives me crazy when he's on his phone. It drives me crazy when other people are on their phone. I don't know. It just drives me nuts. I'm is there something so urgent that you have to check your phone?
Yeah, I feel like I'm guilty of that sometimes. I try. If I'm out to eat, I try not to do that. If I'm at a group meal or even out to dinner with my partner, I really try to limit that, but I will maybe sneak a peek in the bathroom.
You're the girl that's swiping on Tinder while on a date.
Well, that was me, not anymore, but
checking out who's
set
match.
The record. Let's make sure we set the record clear. That's not current day.
I can't. If I can just get rid of my phone, I think I would. especially when it comes to brunch. But
this is an off topic, but do you ever wonder if you're still floating around on a dating app? Because they're historically known for not pushing people off to up their user base. Because I remember when I was on Hinge, when I was dating my ex, I thought I was off Hinge. Like I deleted it, I logged out, deactivated on my side, but you had to call them at the time to really physically get off the app.
Oh.
And someone saw me on there.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think they've made some improvements because this was a long time ago because there's some serious privacy issues on that. But I've heard of other people say, I think our moderator Janice said she popped up in like a different city once. Someone told her that they saw her in a city she didn't live in. I have a lot of anxiety around this. I think about it a lot that like, am I just like popping up one day? Because actually this guy that was like an old friends with benefits messaged me once and he was like, oh, I saw you on Tinder. Like I'm single.
Oh.
And I was like, wait, I haven't been on Tinder in years. It's kind of scary.
Sounds like a class action lawsuit to me.
Anyways.
If I am still floating around on an app, I sure hope people would tell me, you know?
Yeah, no one's told me in a while, so I feel better about it. But as soon as this guy told me, I went into Tinder and I'm like, fuck that. Like this was even before I met my partner. I just had been off Tinder for years because I just couldn't deal with Tinder. Yeah, you're still floating sometimes.
Or people have seen you, but they're like uncomfortable. And they're thinking, maybe Julie's in an open relationship. You know, there could be all these rumors spread.
That's why you can't, like, as easy it is to jump to conclusions when you see someone on an app, I feel like you can't because I know that this shit happens.
They need to do a status verification.
Yeah.
Verified
like a check-in
single.
every so often.
Verified.
Or it should be like, if you haven't logged in X amount of days, then you are not an active profile.
Yeah. But these dating apps want to show you quantity. It's fucked up.
Exactly.
But
well,
yes.
We'll get off this soapbox.
If anybody sees either one of us on a dating app, please do reach out and let us know. Screenshot it. We want to make sure it is our old profiles. Send it to us. We would love to know and file that class action lawsuit. All right, that's how we're gonna support the podcast. But before
I was like, that's how we're profitable in 2023.
Before we win that lawsuit, I guess we have to
screw
ask
our
this
other projects. Yeah.
Here's our brunch talk question. The question is, do you need to have similar interests to be in a healthy relationship?
And for more context, we got a listener that wrote in and said, I was recently dumped because the guy I was seeing didn't think I was enough of a runner. Is this a legit reason to break up with someone? It feels like it isn't, but curious your thoughts.
I had this exact conversation with our couples counselor this week.
Interesting.
Because we've been together for 4.5 years. Our interests were similar in the beginning, and then they start changing. And now they're kind of similar again, and I think they're going to change again. We're constantly evolving. I'm taking up new interests and hobbies. He's doing the same thing. And our counselor said, your interests do not to be aligned. You do not have to have similar interests, but your values should be aligned. That's the most important thing for the foundation of a relationship. So you can have all these different interests, and that's what makes you more of an interesting person to your partner, is that you do have different interests. Now, of course, it's great if, like for me, I love that my partner and I have similar tastes in food. I don't think I could be with someone who didn't love sushi as much as we do, or who didn't love tequila as much as we do. That I appreciate. But if one day we decide that we're going to have different tastes in food, is it going to break us up? Probably not. It's just we'll have to navigate that.
I'm mixed on this one. I foundationally agree with you that you do not have to have every interest aligned, but I do think you need to have a similar lifestyle. And it depends how much your interests become your lifestyle too. So I'm thinking of your friends, Yue, the two runners.
Yes, the runners.
You know, I obviously this example triggered this, but these two people, they have a baby now and they are running. I feel like a foundation of their relationship was that they ran together all the time. And now they're running with their baby. Like it's just like now the three of them. And I'm like, this is such a couple goals that they can still keep doing what they were doing before. But anyways, I feel like for these people, it was so core to them. You know them better than I do. Like, do you think they could have been with someone that wasn't a runner, or do you think that like wouldn't have worked for them?
I absolutely think they could be with other people who aren't runners. If you're dating someone who's a big runner and you're not, it makes them very interesting to you because you're wondering how can you run so much? And then you more interesting to them because you have other ways of being active or other things that you may be obsessed with. It just so happens, I think they got really lucky that they met each other and they have this mutual love for running. I don't think it's absolutely necessary for the relationship. I certainly don't think they can throw everything else out the window and be like, at least we have running.
Right,
That's going to keep us together. You know?
Definitely not. But I do think, like, I agree with you. Like, I remember I did this video call or phone call. It wasn't even a video call. Like, this guy on a dating app super liked me, or one of like the extreme likes, right? We did a phone call. I thought it went well in the sense that as well as a phone call can go, right? Like, I was down to meet him. Seemed like we could carry a conversation. Clearly, we were attracted enough through profile photos. He messaged me and was like, I don't think we have like enough interest. I really like to snowboard and you don't.
Oh.
And I was like, does that really matter? I think that what happens when you focus so much on these things is that you ignore the bigger stuff, like you were saying, the values and how someone makes you feel. Of course, if you can find the snowboarder that also does all the other stuff, then fantastic. But I wouldn't want someone to like sacrifice a common interest because of that.
Yeah.
My current partner likes to snowboard. He goes about 3 times a year. And in those 3 times, I will still go up to Tahoe and hang out. Like, he doesn't need me to be there on the slopes with him, but I still support the hobby. And also, if he wants to do it, he could go himself too, right? There's many ways around this. It's not like if you're with someone that doesn't do your exact interests, you can never do it again. Like, they either come along, maybe they try your interests, or maybe they just support you from afar, or they let you do it yourself. Like, there's many options.
Yeah. The problem with putting your interests at the forefront when you're dating is that you're boxing the potential of your relationship into a very small area. If you come in and say, I have these interests, you have your interests, I'm open to other things, then you open up the potential of your relationship. I actually think it's more important to foster a mutual interest together that's new for both of you, right? Than having someone come on board and try to get them on your side. Now, not to say there's no trying. I think everybody can try to learn about your partner's interests, but it's better that we respect our partner's interests more than we try to be that interest or, try to learn that interest. That's not as important as just respecting it.
Totally. I think it also comes down to what is it that you want from a relationship? Are you looking for an activity partner?
Yeah.
Are you looking for someone that goes deeper, that could be a support system, your life partner? Like, I think when you actually clarify what is it you're looking for, different things become more of a priority to you.
Right.
So, of course, if you're looking for just an activity partner, you want someone that shares the similar interests. That's typically not what we want at the core of a relationship. Many of us have friends that could be those activity partners. There's usually a little bit more. What that little bit more is probably different for everyone. But I would say this is probably an invitation, if you're the type of person that's dismissing people because of interests, to say, what is it that I actually want?
So my partner posed this question the other day because he's on a health kick, especially with nutrition. And he was saying, I'm worried that if I'm doing what I'm doing and I keep doing this, I'm on this trajectory to become that person who's counting his macros, who's very strict about his nutrition and diet. And then you're not that person. Are we going to grow apart? And my response to him was, our mutual interest is we want to be healthy.
Yeah.
That is the interest. That's also our intrinsic value in our relationship. We want to be healthy for ourselves and for each other. How we get to that goal, it can be varied. I can have my own way of getting healthy. You have your own way. It does not have to be the same. And that is okay. We can have separate meals. You can do your macro counting and I can not do that. We don't have to subscribe to the same thing as long as we're trying to achieve the same goals.
I like that. And especially, I don't know, I'm not to say his macro counting won't be forever, but I've definitely gone through so many phases in life
Right?
with different diets and health kicks, and they are not always what's current. So it is,
Everything's
like you were
temporary.
saying earlier, exactly, like sometimes you're going to ebb and flow. So before we go into more, let's take a quick break for a message.
This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp.
Living with ADHD can be a challenge, and dating with ADHD is definitely a challenge, we've heard many of you say. But finding the right care and proper tools needed to succeed can be life-changing. Done is an online ADHD care platform that can get you all the resources you need to help manage your ADHD. Online visits, refills, and a 24/7 care team made for you. In just 1 minute, Done's online assessment can help kickstart your ADHD treatment journey. With experienced clinicians, worry-fill refills, and online visits, you can start getting personalized care as soon as today or tomorrow. So contact an expert team that can help you around the clock and get a personalized treatment plan just for you. Here's how you do it. Take a free 1-minute assessment and book an appointment with a licensed ADHD clinician as soon as the next day. Get continuous care, one-click refills, insurance coverage, and 24/7 care team support with Done for just $79 a month, and pharmacy copays as low as $0. Visit get.donefirst.com/podcast to learn more. That's get.donefirst.com/podcast to learn more. Done. Turn ADHD into your strength. This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
Okay, like let's talk about lifestyle a bit though. Let's say you are that person that is running every day and it's core to you. Could you be with someone that doesn't exercise at all? Like, does that even matter? I mean, I think a lot of it just depends on what you're looking for in a partner again. Like, are you okay doing this stuff solo? Are you going to be frustrated if this person is a couch potato? Or are you the type of person that's like, cool, let them do them? Like, I think there's so many variables of personality and again, what matters to you ultimately in a relationship.
It still goes back to the question of goals. If you're a runner every day and your partner doesn't exercise at all, do you have a mutual goal of being active and healthy? If you don't, then maybe that's kind of an issue because then your goals aren't aligned. If your goals are aligned, they're just doing their own thing to be healthy. That's great. I also think a lot of people that I've talked to, the interests that they have that they developed when they were single, they prefer to do those alone. That's your me time, and that's
true. That's true.
really cool. And then when you're away from your partner and you come back, it makes it so much more exciting because then you can talk about what you just did when you were apart.
So believe it or not, at one stage in my life, I was quite a runner. I did multiple half marathons.
Yes, I
remember. That is not me today. But during that time, I loved it because it was alone time. And honestly, if I was still a runner, I would not want my partner to be a runner. Like, I don't want to chat with you while I'm running. That is my time. So I agree with you on that. I think, though, it comes back to, I'm just like thinking about this running example, just because it came in, that's why it's so top of mind. Like, health is like the top of your pyramid of goals. Then yes, maybe you'll build resentment if the other person's the couch potato. But I also feel like we're not one dimensional. Usually it's not just like health is our only goal.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And that's not what drew you to this person in the first place. Unless they were this super active person now turned couch potato, you probably knew up front that they weren't this super active person. Like, I have a couple like my friend and her fiance, like, she runs like crazy. He does not. He's not active at all, and she doesn't give a fuck. Like,
she doesn't care.
Like, they drink wine together. Their banter and communication and just like the time they spend together is super fun. So to her, that's not essential that this person is super active. Like, it's not at the top of her list. She has running buddies. She does it herself.
Yeah, she has her community.
There's many ways around this. But at the same time, I feel like she's someone that can balance both. Like, there are certain runners, for instance, that will go to bed at 9 p.m. and wake up at like 6 a.m. I could see that being difficult if you are not that person and your whole schedule is getting. So I think it really just depends on what else is important to you in life and how rigid you are and how much of an emphasis this one interest is.
The interest is a part of you. It does not define you, and it does not define the relationship. But if you do meet someone and are attracted to them solely because of a mutual interest, you are entering into very dangerous territory. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I know this couple, when they first met, they were raving a lot. They went to a lot of raves. They loved music shows and raves. That's all they did.
Some examples. Yes.
Right? They're dancing. They're having a good time. They went out every weekend. He was like, oh my gosh, I've never met a girl who loved going to raves this much. This is my soulmate. After they got married, they had a kid, and she stopped raving. I mean, good for you. Yeah, you're a good mom. Her kid is a toddler, and she no longer wants to be part of that lifestyle. But he still wants to go to raves. And so he's saying, I think we've fallen out of love because we're no longer going to raves.
Yeah.
And now they're looking into possible separation. The problem with this is that the only glue for that relationship in the beginning was this mutual interest. But we have to understand, as we get older, as we evolve, our interests will be different and they will change. And that is okay. But if that's all you have to go on, it's really dangerous.
I agree. I can think of so many people like that. And it can't just be current day interest. Like, that can't be the only thing that's holding you two together, because interests change, like you said. If you're looking for someone that's a life partner, it's so much more important to think about the characteristics and qualities of this person as a person.
Yes.
Not even like interests and values of interest. Like, even the health thing, like, I think that's important. Don't get me wrong. But more important is, like, are they a good person that's going to support me and like be there for me? Like, those are the cores that we tend to put as secondary because they're not as flashy and fun.
We feel like it comes with a territory. Well, I'm with this person, must be because they display all the characteristics I want in a partner. We think it's a default setting. So we ignore them.
Yeah.
And then
and it's not.
Focus on the interest because that's more quantifiable. I can see how many miles you run in a week versus how kind you are to me.
Yeah.
Right? That's a problem. We're just trying to quantify qualifications of the right partner. We're looking at the wrong qualities.
Yeah. Like, I agree that we think it's a default, but then it's not, because the way you define kindness might not even be the same as someone else. They could say they're kind.
Yeah.
I think that when people say like that stuff on a profile, especially in that stage, it's really hard because it's so subjective, right?
Yeah.
But like you were saying, I agree. Like, the number of miles you run, the type of music you listen to, like, that's very like, oh yeah, this matches up or it doesn't. But ultimately, that isn't the stuff that matters at all.
Right. And this is why when we read your bios on these dating apps and you list out all of your interests, good for you. It's nice to see what type of person you are. But you also have to think about what is your purpose in doing that? What's the point?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Are you doing that because you want other people to jump on board and say, yes, I have the same list of interests? And newsflash, you all list the same interests. I like to travel. I like to eat. I like to read. I listen to podcasts. It's like the same list we see over and over
again.
So
generic.
I like to be active. I like to hike. It's the same. I like to do yoga. Like, come on, guys.
I also think people need to be realistic of how much you're actually doing this, because I feel like people want someone that's like their aspirational quality.
Yeah.
I remember like I was looking at profiles with a friend of mine and she's like, oh my God, this guy is a marathon runner. And she hasn't run like she runs like occasionally, but it's not a big part of her life. It's like, do you actually even want the marathon runner? Like they could be like getting up super early and doing this. You know, I think it's like, I did this once. I remember looking at someone's profile from our profile reviews and he had this like crazy hike photo. And I'm like, how important is hiking in your life? And how important is it that your partner hikes? Because if it's not, this is super intimidating to people and you might be scaring some people away. If you want someone that's going to do this every single weekend with you, then keep it in.
Yes.
But if this is like something you did once a year, 10 years ago, then you do not need to put it on there.
No need. No need at all. Yeah, because I think we put our interests up front because we think it impresses people.
We're trying to sell ourselves. I would so much rather someone show me how they're consistent or kind. Like give an example. Don't just say I'm consistent or I'm kind. Like, I want to hear that in a profile.
I know. How would you do that in a profile?
I don't know. That's why no one does it.
I always return text messages in a timely manner. If I say I'm going to show up, I'm definitely showing up. Those are great examples.
Yeah, I think you could do that. That's great. The problem is, though, it does take a little more thought than just saying, I like to travel. I've been to 36 countries, you know?
Like, that's a life without me. As a person who's trying to like view you as a potential partner.
Right.
You've been to 36 countries without me. So why does that apply to me? But if your aspirations are to go to 36 countries in the next 10 years, that's interesting. That brings me into the conversation. If you're like, my hobbies are returning text messages and being on time. Oh, so sexy. So sexy.
So sexy. You know, I went to this comedy show recently for an upcoming guest of ours. And clearly this is a comedy show. It's entertainment. But it was matching two people up. And the whole thing was like this girl went to all these countries. Like she went to like 80 countries or something. And that was kind of like what she was looking for in someone else.
Oh.
And I was just thinking like, okay, that's cool if that is something that initially can give you some convo starters. Like that's why I think it is good to maybe put some interest in because it's something someone can latch onto as a convo starter. But it can't just be that. Like that can't be what's holding you together, like we've been saying.
No. I think we definitely answered this question. We have a strong opinion.
We definitely
about
did.
this.
So the answer to answer this person's question, I actually think maybe you dodged a bullet if this person broke up with you because they couldn't run. Either they were not looking at a relationship more expansively than just common interests, or they would have either expected you to be running all the time or waking up at freaking crack of dawn, which you probably don't want to be doing. So either way, you've dodged a bullet.
Yeah, they were going to run away from you anyway.
I had someone once tell me that like they didn't think that it would work out because I wasn't into sci-fi. And I'm like, you know, if this is truly enough of an interest for this person, I don't want to be doing this every weekend, right?
Your response was, thank you. Thank you for saving me.
I don't want to be held hostage on the couch watching sci-fi every weekend. If you want to go watch sci-fi on your own, let me do something else. Knock yourself out. Don't care. But if this is so important to you that you were going to make me do this with you, good riddance. Find someone that's into sci-fi.
I'm not going to those conventions with you. No, thank you. But someone will. Someone will.
Someone will. But hopefully it's more than just sci-fi holding them together.
I know.
That's our dateable POV.
Good question. I like that question a lot. Yes. So that wraps it up for this week's episode of Brunch Talk. We'll be back next week with another question. In the meantime, send in your questions. You can email us hello@dateablepodcast.com or you can DM us on Instagram @dateablepodcast is the handle.
Okay. Well, We'll see you next week.
Bye. The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform, so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.